Hello and welcome to a tutorial on how to make this sort of, I call it gunfire effect. What I'm simulating is a demo reel I saw where a character was protected by an energy shield and bullets were shot at the shield and it burst into these little particle bursts. That one had several layers though. This one I'm only going to be covering like the main one where the initial particles are white, densely packed and glowing bright, and then they fade out and change color and drift away. So let's get started. I'll make a new project. Create an HDRI folder for where we're going to put our HDRI. Just so the scenery looks nice. And in here, I'll call it Gunfire FX. Sure. Accept. Files, set project to Gunfire FX. And we'll save this current one as scene 01. Great. Now, let's get started. We'll set up a geo. And there are two ways to make the shield on which we're putting particles on. My first idea was to use a cylinder or a tube and a box. And then add a boolean between them. And then cut out the indent of the box, which I do by increasing this. Whatever it is. But that's not what I'm going to do this time. This time, we'll make a box. I'm going to make it very thin in one direction. So I'll just go 0.01. That's fine. And then I'll make it a little bit wider. Let's give it 2. And a bit much. Let's go 1.5. And what we want to do is for our Z and Y direction, we really want to pop this up. So I'm going to give it 100 and 100. Because this one we're going to bend. So I'll go over here, type down bend, hit select. And then we're going to click deform in both directions and give it some bend. Not that way. We're going to make this 0 and we want to bend it this way. And there we are. I think this is fine as it is. We'll drop a transform down. And what I just want to do is move it a little bit back. -0.5. That's fine. Alright, so then we're going to drop a scatter node. And what I want to do with this is, nope, actually no, we're not going to scatter. No, my original idea was drop a scatter node, give it a random age and life, making it negative so that as it progresses through, it'll come 1. And then I remembered I can just do a pop network, use a pop network. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop into here. This one we're going to set to 0. How many are born every second? Because this is in seconds, what I'd want to do is I'll make it once per second, so $FPS. Its life expectancy is going to be a single frame. And it's going to have no life variance. So if I disable this guide, we see that points are being spawned across the object where randomly, which is fine, like gunfire. That's alright. Now, before we set this up, we also have to create the burst effect, because instead of setting vectors there, I'm going to create a tube, make it very small, give it some rows and columns. And what I want to do is I want to make it very, very small. So something like 0.01, 0.01. And if I zoom in on it, that's fine. We're going to give it some normals using facet, pre-compute normals. That's it. And then we're going to give it a mountain. Oh, there we are. Lower the amplitude a bit. We just want a little bit of noise. That's good. And I believe that should be it for now. So I'll put these two together, and now we create a copy to points. Perfect. We're going to copy this geometry to these points. And when I hit play, doesn't work yet. Select this one, go back, and hit play. And there we are. Yes, one more thing we want to do with our tube is we want to drop down. I can use a rename. And we're going to just rename 1 from N to V. Because we're not really going to use these normals anywhere, but we are going to use its velocity. So I'll drop down a pop network. And let's take a look at this. Alright, looks good. We want to create none on birth, but as soon as it's born, we want it to create several. How many? Let's say 10,000. Alright. And if we hit play, you notice all of them are born on the first frame and then die immediately after. Why is that? Well, over here in our attributes, we have our inherit attribute, and we're inheriting everything, which is good for stuff like velocity and where it is, so that we have a point to create. But it's also going to be inheriting, if I delete this and show the dropdown, stuff like age and life, because all of these have age and life, the ones we created up here. So down here, what I'm going to do is all we need is our position and our velocity. And if I hit play, there we are. We have a lot of particles spewing out. So let's change that. I'll click Add to Inherit Velocity. I'll set it to something like 5. And then variance is going to be 2, 2, 2. And I'm just making up numbers here. I don't have anything planned. So I'll do 4 frames per second. 4 over $FPS. With a variance of 2 should be fine. And if I hit play, a bit nicer. But it's very, very, it's moving a lot. So what I'll do instead is I'll just make this 1, lower these to a bit smaller variables or values. And that looks a little bit better. Alright. I'll actually give these a little bit less, let's say 1,000, because afterwards we're going to be applying a particle trail. So I think that's all we need to do here. After that, we're going to drop down a particle trail. Not the normal trail. The normal trail has, I mean, well, it probably works. I haven't tested it with this, but particle trail has these three that I'm going to take advantage of. So what I'm going to do is click both of these, and we want its alpha to be full along its length and its normalized age, and then at the end we want it to fade out. Intensity is also going to be the same, as well as color. And we want it to start out as brilliant bright white, and we want it to fade into our green, which is, I'm just choosing this one. Choose whatever you want. Anything else? I think that's about it. I'll give it a few sub-steps. We don't want to split or shape or anything, so that's fine. If we hit play, that looks nice. Now, what else do we want to do? Well, after this, we want to give it a material. So I'll drop down a material node, and now we go make our material. Because I mentioned trail needs all of these. Those are shown in here. You'll see alpha and CD. We're going to take advantage of those to create a material. So let's go into our material, drop down a principled shader. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to take advantage of binds. Bind, there we are. This one is going to bring in CD. This one is going to bring in alpha. That one stays as a float. This one will become 3-float vector. Perfect. And then this one is going to be piped into base color. And where is it? Emission color. And the alpha will be piped into our, let's see, transparency. Perfect. And we're also going to use alpha as our emission intensity. But we're first going to multiply it with something, because right now it only goes from 1 to 0. But I want to change that. Let's draw this. Oh. Multiply constant. And I'm going to multiply by 10. And put it into emission intensity. And for this last one, it's just under emission intensity, it says emission illuminates objects, which we're going to enable because if we have a background, we have the shield itself, we have a ground, nearby objects, we want them to be shining with the particles that we see. So I'll drop down a constant, set it to 1, or if it has Boolean I can do that, but I think this should be fine. I'll pipe it into illuminates, put this back. And there we are. And we're going to go back into our object after I check. Yep. So our color variable that we're importing goes into its base color and emission color, and our alpha is used for transparency and multiply to create intensity, and we're also going to enable emission illuminates. We are also going to lower this to, I don't know, 0.02. And what this is going to do is the more densely packed objects are going to shine brightly, and the less densely ones are not. So what I'll do is I'll hit play. Make sure I assign my material. Material, principal shader, accept, that's fine. Go back. And something that shows all of them, that should be fine. And right now I'm just going to do a quick render. And we see what happens. Alright, now we're back. So this looks similar, and some of the issues are how white the ends are, even though it's still dying. And I believe that is solved in particle trail. No. Well, I'm fine with what it is already. However, I believe that there's an issue with either particle trail, where if I lower these should be fine. So I'll pause it and see what happens, but I'll take a snapshot. Pause the render. And I'll lower intensity. And if we hit render, and that might have been one solution, but I also think there might be too many particles. Either that or the multiplier is too high. So if this doesn't work, I'll go back and change the multiplier. I think that's fine. I'll actually keep it like this. But one more thing we're going to do in our material. I'm going to lower this multiplier to something like, I don't know, 3. I'll quickly take a snapshot. If we render it out, it looks a little bit nicer in my opinion. Because even the new densely packed ones are still white, and the ones that are faded out are going to black. But I believe that is everything. Thank you very much for watching, and I might make another tutorial where I create a better version of this with a few improvements, but whatever I can. But that is all for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.